Hello and welcome to our episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name's Jacob and I'm here with my little puppy. Her name's Coffee. And today we are doing another unboxing video. So let's get started. So I got this little itty bitty package in the mail. I can already feel it's got something inside it with absolutely no padding and absolutely no protection whatsoever. So, not that great. But I bought this thing secondhand and for really, really cheap. So we're going to get right into it. I don't have my classic scissors here, so unfortunately I'm going to have to try and deal with this with a little knife. Should be no problem. Let's get the little postage bag, tear it open. Alright. Let's see what we got in here. We've got a little itty bitty Godzilla 1998 figure. I have like a 1998 Godzilla figure in my collection from the old Trendmasters figures, and I thought this was going to be identical to that, but this guy is actually smaller. I had that one, and I think I never showed it on camera because it's broken. The head's broken off, and the tip of the tail's broken off on that one. But like I said, I saw this guy show up on eBay for like $4. And I think I paid a little bit more because somebody else is in a little bidding war with me, but I barely paid $10, I think, for this guy in total. So, yeah, really happy about that. Of course, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the 1998 Godzilla, but you know what? It's still a fun monster movie. It's still Godzilla history. And in all honesty, it's still a pretty cool monster design. I'm just of the camp where I don't really consider it actually Godzilla, but it's still a really cool monster design, I think. I've always felt that way. And yeah, nice little figure. It's got something going on the back of its head here, and its mouth. That's interesting. Maybe it shot something out of its mouth. A lot of these figures, they, just children's toys, so they always had little gimmicks and weird things that they did. So, if we take a nice closer look at him, you can see he's got the hole on the back of his head here, and then there's his little mouth there. So it looks like something, went from that hole out into his mouth, and I'm guessing it probably shot out something or whatnot. Maybe this had like a button that you'd press, so you put something in his mouth and it would shoot out. I don't know. But he's got like a effect on his mouth where it's spring-loaded, so every time you open it, it closes. He's got that trademark big chin of his. Little articulation at the shoulders here, but none on the rest of his arms, which is fine by me because oh, actually, no, they spin. It's not the best articulation in the world. These joints, it's something like you'd see on a Bandai vinyl at most, but it's still something. There's that. And his legs are actually quite nicely articulated for a figure like this. They actually have, they have the two main joints here and up here at the hip. So that's pretty good. And they're fairly firm for being something that was made in the 90s. Not too bad. Oh, sorry, he's out of focus. Yeah, I can take a look at that. It's clearly a hand-sculpted figure, so this was back in the day before they'd use the digital data from the film to 3D print these things, and yeah, that's how we get very, very accurate Godzilla figures these days, especially from the MonsterVerse films. A lot of those ones are just the same data from the film. I think the NECA figures of the MonsterVerse, at least 2014 Godzilla, that was definitely using the data from the film, and I think they just tweak them because I think you can never get like a very perfect 3D print, or sometimes they just want to tweak them to work better in the particular material they're using. But generally that's how we get the really accurate figures these days. They still do the custom sculpts and things for a lot of the high-end ones, like that you can't really do digital prints of, like the Monster Arts figures and stuff like that. I actually have the giant deluxe Trendmasters version of this guy in my collection. Actually looks really similar to this thing. It's almost in the same pose from what I remember. And apparently that figure was used to make the 3D model of this Godzilla, this Zilla, in Godzilla Final Wars. So in that film we had the real Japanese Godzilla fight this Godzilla. That design was made from a Trendmasters toy. It's bizarre to me that they did that because you'd think Toho would have access to the original digital files that they used for this guy in the 1998 film, but instead they just scanned in a freaking toy, which I love, and I own that toy, so I have basically a fully screen accurate version of that guy in my collection. So that's really cool. But this guy's not bad. I like the detailing on him. There's some good variety in the paint. These figures, I've also noticed, they have this nice wash of this sort of beige color that kind of falls in between the textures along the legs, and it makes them look a little bit sandy and a little bit, yeah, just more organic, and that's just a nice touch this guy has. Nice silver detail along the body. Really dig the spines on this thing. Made of a fairly hard plastic, actually. They're a little rubbery, but pretty hard. Got some articulation in the tail here. I think that's, not actually meant to articulate. It's just the join swivels is all. Some nice detailing down it too. Yeah, I like this thing. Not bad for something that I picked up secondhand on eBay for next to nothing. So like I was saying, I do have a bigger version of this guy, and I thought this one was going to be the same thing, because, the photos in the eBay listing that I saw, it looked almost identical to this, to be entirely honest. It just is bigger, a little bit bigger, like if it was that tall instead of this tall. But I don't mind this at all. This is actually cool. I think I'm actually going to have this with my Godzilla Final Wars Bandai vinyls. Because I have a nice little collection of Bandai vinyls and figures from Godzilla Final Wars. I'm trying to get the whole bunch, the whole band back together, as it were. So I've just got them down there. And I'll bring some in to actually scale with this guy, because I think he might scale about right with them. Maybe he's a touch too big anyway, but we'll see. So here we have the 6-inch scale Bandai vinyl of Godzilla 2004 from Godzilla Final Wars. And we bring in this guy here, the little Trendmasters Zilla figure, and I like that. I like that scale a lot, This guy has such a thin waist compared to this guy, and this guy's even considered one of the more lean-looking Godzillas, so that's actually really funny there. This guy's weird proportions. The one in the film looked a lot better, obviously, but this guy's just got a really weird look to him now that I looked at him front on, with the really skinny waist and just that really wide shoulders there and the wide head. A little odd looking. He looks better from the side, although his head looks really massive and his neck looks even more massive from the side as well. But regardless, I think these two pair really nicely. So this guy's going to be standing in with my Godzilla Final Wars figures. I can bring in my Gigan. I freaking love this Bandai Movie Monster Series Gigan. Ah, beautiful. And we have Anguirus. And that's just a couple of my Final Wars figures, and I think they all pair really nicely with this guy. So, yeah, this guy scales really well with 6-inch figures. We can bring in something a little different. What can we bring in? X Plus Large Monster Series Godzilla 2021, or no, 2019, pardon me. This is King of the Monsters version, not versus Kong version, which I do have on pre-order, so I'll eventually have that one as well. But here you can see the 1998 figure and the new American Godzilla and the old American Godzilla side by side. I vastly prefer the new one. It's much more Godzilla-like. I did and still do kind of have issues with the 2014 design of him. I think it was not quite Godzilla-y enough for me, but regardless, I think they improved in the time between 1998 and this guy in actually being a bit more authentic to the character, so that's great. And I actually wonder, how did these guys scale up? Because I don't remember the height of this guy off by heart. Yeah, I don't remember, but I think he's definitely not super big. I don't think he was one of the bigger Godzillas, but I think he was a little bit bigger than the classic 50-meter tall Godzillas of the Showa era, but I think he was smaller than the 90 to 100 meter tall ones of the 90s, for example. So I don't remember how big he is, but I wonder if this scaling is anything close to how it should be in terms of height between these two. Interesting. And since I've got it on hand, I got the Bandai Movie Monster Series Mecha Godzilla here from the brand new Godzilla vs. Kong movie. And yeah, this guy scales, yeah, pretty nicely again with it. He's a little bit shorter than this Mecha Godzilla, but this Mecha Godzilla is actually quite a big Bandai vinyl for the 6-inch line, so yeah, still works. Really nice. So that's my little unboxing of this guy. I think it's a really cool figure. I do like a lot of these older Trendmaster 1998 figures. I'll see them online a lot of the time for sale, but I do pass on them quite a bit because frankly, I don't feel like spending too much money on the 1998 Godzilla unless, for example, Monster Arts would put out a really decent version of one, or I might even be open to getting an X Plus. That would be nice if X Plus actually put out like a full-scale one of these guys, because I do know that they put out the D for Real version. They put out a D for Real 1998, and that was really cool for what it was, but I'm not really a D for Real kind of guy. I think they're cute and cool for what they are, but generally if I'm going to spend that amount of money, I'd prefer to get, say, a Monster Arts, or even save up and just get a full-size X Plus. That's just kind of how I feel about the more sort of slightly goofy-looking chibi-style figures like the D for Real ones. But I might actually be open to a 1998 done in that style. It would be really cool to get a decent figure of this guy, because again, I do really like the design. It's a really cool monster design, but it just isn't Godzilla to me. It's the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, for example, but just redone in the 90s. 1998 film was a big part of what helped me get into Godzilla initially as well. I think I did discover Godzilla just around that time, but from the Japanese movies, actually. I don't exactly remember, is the thing. I have these vague memories of the first time I saw Godzilla, when I actually saw, I think it was Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, the 1991 movie on TV at some point, and I have vague memories of that being the first time I saw Godzilla, but I also remember there was episodes of the Rugrats where there was like this 2-part episode where they were in a drive-in movie theater, and then like it became a weird lucid dream, and they ended up like going into the screen and like acting out like this mock Godzilla movie with Reptar, and then there's Mecha Godzilla at the end, and then there's Dactar, who was like their version of Rodan, and like turned out Angelica was behind it all along, and she was the evil one, and it's causing all the destruction and stuff. And there was the whole thing with like fake Reptar being actually Mecha Godzilla built by her or something like that. That was one of the things that helped me get into Godzilla, funnily enough. So I don't remember exactly when the 1990 movie came into it, Godzilla-wise, but I'm sure it was one of the things that definitely helped me get into the series. But I remember by that point, I already kind of felt like this wasn't the true Godzilla by the time I was watching it. And then I just have memories of playing Godzilla Saves the Earth with some of my friends on PlayStation. But yeah, the 90s. A good time to become a Godzilla fan, and a dinosaur fan like I was when I was a little kid. That is it for this little unboxing. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on my future videos. In the comments below, let me know what got you into Godzilla, because I'd be really curious to hear about that. And I hope to see you in one of my future videos. But until then, may all your vinyl be your radiated vinyl. Over and out. Bye.